What's going on, y'all? So in this video, what we're going to be doing is adding bulk ink or CISS kit to the 7710. Stay tuned. Okay, so what we need to do in order to add bulk ink or CISS kit to the 7710, I don't actually have a kit, but I'm going to give you the links in the description for the parts to build your own, like I'm going to do right here. So first up, we have to get a soldering iron. Get the cheapest one you can find. I actually got this one from Walmart. I think I paid under $6 for it. And for what we're going to be using it for, you don't need anything expensive. We're going to actually need we're going to also need a ink tank. We're going to need a universal CISS cartridge or continuous ink system cartridge. Some elbows to connect our tubes to our cartridges, a set of scissors or something to cut the tubes with, ruler, flathead screwdriver, PPE. Now I forgot, but we're also gonna need one of these little Velcro or hook and loop cable ties. We don't need the entire part, but we are gonna need about half. Well, a little bit more, a little bit less than half of the hard nylon part or the hook part. All right, so we're gonna cut that off, and then we're just gonna need a little bit of the loop part. So we're basically gonna make a smaller one out of this humongous one. We don't need this much material for what we're gonna use it for. So about right here is fine. So what you want to wind up with is something that looks like this. A little bit of hook on this part and a little bit of loop on this part. And what we're going to do is basically have enough so that we can make a little circle like that and put our tube around our printer cable. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is make sure that the carriage is unlocked in the printer. So if you open up the scanner unit, you'll realize that the printhead carriage is in the home position and it's locked. You can't move this back and forth. So first thing I want to do is make sure that the printer thinks that the scanner unit's closed. And what I'll do is I'll just take a piece of paper and jam it down in here with this micro switch. Sometimes you gotta play with it a little bit, but if you do that, the printer now thinks that it's closed. What I want to do is get this printhead to unlock. So in order to do that, I go into settings, maintenance, and then I'm going to do a paper guide cleaning. Now, once I hit start, this will move this way and get ready to move the rollers to put a piece of paper through it to clean it. Once this starts to move, I'm just going to go ahead and unplug it. Now I got this connected to a power strip. So once I hit start and this guy moves, I'll just hit the power strip to unplug it. And it'll unlock itself and start to move to the left. And you can go ahead and unplug it now. And so now it's unlocked and we can take and move this to the left and to the right. And it's good to go. So what I'll do now is turn the soldering iron on and get it ready so that we can make the hole inside the left side of the printer. Okay, our soldering iron's getting pretty hot. So let's go ahead and get these measurements down now. With the printer off and the carriage unlocked, what we'll do is go ahead and start making our measurements so we can get our hole inside of here. When you open your scanner unit, right here on the corner, there's going to be a body line or a line where the plastic connects. So this is the line we're going to use for reference. And what we're going to do is just simply go down about 1/2 inch. And we're going to mark about 1/2 inch here on this line. I'm going to use a scratch awl or a pick so that it shows up on the camera here. And then from that mark that we just made on our line, we're going to go another 1/2 inch and make another mark about right there. And that's where we're going to start our hole. And then from there, we're going to go another 1/2 inch to the left. So it's going to look like this. Bam. So that's what it's going to look like. So you're going to go a 1/2 inch down, 1/2 inch over, and then another 1/2 inch mark. And this is basically the hole that we're gonna make right here. There is a cable back here, but it's pretty far back. So just put half of the tip in, and you should be fine. Anything deeper than that, you might wind up hitting that cable. You don't want to do that. So real quick, I hope you guys can see this. I can't see the other side. But we're not going to go real deep inside. We're just going to make a line really slow. And again, I'm not going really deep in there. And I'm already through. Something like that. And there you go. And so now we should be able to put our tubes through here and head inside of the printer. Like so. Okay, so now that we got our hole burnt into the side, we have to put our ink tank on and get it mounted and fed through. First thing you want to do is make sure that your ink tank is orientated the right way. And what I mean by that is you want these tubes to come out the bottom right hand side of your ink tank. Now, you don't necessarily have to get your ink tank from me, but whoever you get it from, you just want to make sure that the tubes are on the right hand side. If you get it from me, it'll already be orientated this way, and the plugs will already be the right color as well. So once we get that on there, we want to make sure that like I said, the tubes are orientated to the right hand side, and you want to make sure these colors are as follows: black, cyan, magenta, yellow. And the black tube is going to be this outside tube. You can see on the bottom there's a key to let you know exactly which tube goes to which tank. So this top tube goes to this tank here. And that's the one that we want on the outside part of the hole. So basically, if you were to hold it up like this and come straight out, you're going to make a loop and go straight in so that the black side is facing you or facing the front side of the printer. And then we'll go ahead and feed that through our hole. And we're going to actually go ahead and mount this tank on the side of the printer. So let me go ahead and take the adhesive off of here. Alright, should have been a little bit more prepared, but it's all good. Get that in here. And feed that through. And we're just going to line this up with the top of the printer, like so. And what that'll do is put our bracket on there like so. And now we can hang our tank on the side of the printer. There we go. Hang our tank on the side of the printer. And also we want to go ahead and get this shutoff valve mount it to the side of the tank. So get this mounted to the tank about right here, and then we'll go ahead and pull the rest of the slack out. And it should be a loop here. You don't want to be a hard angle because you want the ink to flow, but just a nice little loop here going inside of the printer like that. Okay, so once you get the cable through, you'll have the slack like this. You have a lot of slack. You're going to make sure that this top tube is your black tube, and that's going to go all the way down the side of this on the inside here. So what we need to do is take our screwdriver, and what we're going to do is simply pry these tabs back just a little bit. You don't have to get deep in there and damage that cable. You just want to take it right up on the edge here of the clip, and we're pulling back just a little bit, because you just want to have enough room to put that tube inside of these clips, and you're going to basically share that clip with your printer cable. So just like that, and it should be good to go. So let me go ahead and route this like so. Again, you want to make sure that the tube for the black is on the top. And we'll start to go ahead and get these into those clips with the printer cable. So it should look like that. There we go. All right. So once we got it flat against there like that, what we want to do is move this print head carriage all the way to the left-hand side. Okay, so now that we got our carriage moved all the way to the left and our slack pulled out here, we're going to move it back to the home position. We can remove the cartridges in the cover. So we'll start by the cover. You can just take your fingernail down here in this little hinge right here and pry up, and that'll come right off. And you can take your cartridges out. And what we're going to do is put our CISS cartridge set in here, like so. Now we're not going to press it all the way down and puncture that film on the bottom. We're just going to sit it in here so that we can trim our tube, basically. So we're going to move this to the left a little bit, and when we make sure that when we put our tube in here, again, black is going to be at the top, and we're just going to loop it around this corner right here, and we're going to snap it in place with this clip retainer here. Like so. Again, making sure that you don't push all the way down on the cartridges and puncture the bottom of it. So these are still unpunctured. It looks like they're punctured, but they're not punctured. So and even if you do, it's actually okay, as long as you don't suck up ink through the print head or try to suck up ink through the print head, you'll be fine. So again, we'll just leave this unpressed down for now. And once you do that, you're going to make sure that you can move this carriage all the way to the left. If you can't, you just pull a little bit of slack out until it gets all the way down in there into that corner and it doesn't jam up on anything. So now I can move all the way to the right hand side and all the way to the left hand side. Now, we're going to also take our cable tie and tie the tube to the printer cable so that it looks something like this. You don't want to get it too tight, but you do want to get it taut, but not so that it can't slide on here. You want this to be able to slide back and forth on here. Let's see if I can get another shot here. You want this to be able to slide back and forth on here. Now, actually, I like to line mine up with that first little black clip right there. So I'm gonna move that to about right here. And you want your tube to follow the printer cable. So I actually need a little bit more slack this way. There it goes. So that it follows that perfectly like a little loop. And then from there, we got it locked in with this clip. Now this flat tube here would be black. This will be cyan, magenta, and this last one, closest to the plugs, would be yellow. So you'll see it better when we get the ink to flow through there. But this is the idea. You want to be able to move your print head back and forth in the position without it getting caught up on anything. So this one sags a little bit, but as long as it doesn't get jammed on anything, it should be fine. Alright, so let me go ahead and put this down so that we can get these tubes cut, and then we'll fill it with ink and get the ink flowing through there. Okay, now that we've got the slack and everything pulled through and we got our line not to jam up lengthwise, the next step would be to trim our tubes. And the way you want to do this is we're going to go ahead and just kind of break these strands up here. And remember, they're in sequence, so each tube should wind up being in order when we get it cut and put inside the cartridge. So first thing we want to do is this yellow one. So I take the strand of yellow and I get it over here to where we're going to put the elbow in. And let's kind of take a mental picture, and I'm just going to cut it right there. So it'll look something so. Alright, so now that we got that done, we're going to put our elbow on here. And once we put the elbow on, it'll allow us to insert it into the cartridge. So we're just going to put the elbow on the tube. It'll look something like that. And then we're just going to insert that elbow into this washer, like so. And there you go. And so we'll go ahead and repeat those steps for each one of the other colors, and then we'll be ready to start to draw the ink up. All right, so this is what it'll look like when all the tubes are connected. You should be able to go all the way to the left, all the way to the right without any obstruction. Again, there it is. You can just kind of adjust it here so that you're good to go. All right. So now the next step we'll do, that we got this in here routed and not bonding up on anything, double check your work. Once you got that squared away, what you want to do is fill it up with ink. Okay, so when it's time to fill these with ink, you gotta take off your fill plug here. Now there's gonna be actually two fill plugs. This back chamber is it's like a reserve, like a reservoir for if you get low on main ink. This will keep ink flowing to the printhead so it doesn't burn the printhead out. At least that's how it was explained to me. It's also to help prime it. So you have a fill hole in the back, a fill hole in the front, and in the middle hole there's the air hole. So this little vent here is your air vent. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and fill up the chambers with ink now. Again, I use Dynamite Gorilla ink, but you can use any high quality sublimation ink or pigment ink. I'll take the bottle and I'm gonna draw about 15 milliliters of ink, or half of this syringe. And we'll go ahead and put that in the rear. And then I'll go ahead and empty the contents of the bottle into the chamber. So this is my black chamber. Of course, being careful. And it's right at 100 mils, so get as much as we can in there. All right, so we'll plug the rear and we'll plug the front. And for now, we're actually going to plug the air hole. And I'll explain to you later why we do that. So we'll go ahead and finish filling the rest of these up with ink. Okay, so now we got them all filled up with ink. And you see the importance of gloves. You saw I got ink all over the place. So you definitely want to get gloves, because this stuff is hard to get off of me for some reason. I don't know. But anyways, we got all of our ink inside of the tanks. And now what we want to do is make sure that it's equalized. So we plugged up the vent hole and we plugged up both the fill holes. So now what we'll do is just simply take the ink tank off of its bracket, and we're just gonna sit it on its side, and you'll hear all the ink bubbles moving around in there. And that's from when I spilled ink all over the place. Drip down in there. So leave it on its back for a little bit, maybe like a minute or so. Get all this stuff wiped up. And we got all the holes plugged up. And basically what it's doing is letting all the air work itself through the chambers and everything like that. And equalize the front chamber and the back chamber so that it pulls ink into into the CISS cartridge. So go ahead and hang this back down on here. And then we can open these up and open our air holes up. Alright, so you'll see your ink level here, then there'll be a space, and then there'll be ink down here at this bottom chamber as well. Okay, so we got our ink tank filled, and we took the vent hole, we took the plug out of the air hole or the vent hole, and now it's time to prime our CISS cartridge. So what we're going to do is one by one, these plugs at the top, we're going to remove them. We're going to put in a syringe, and then we're going to draw ink into the cartridge. And you'll see these clear tubes start to fill up with ink. So let's go ahead and start with yellow. Remember, we still haven't pushed this cartridge all the way down onto the print head. It's kind of still just sitting in here. So we're gonna take our syringe and we're gonna insert it into that hole that we just removed that plug from. And then we're going to pull up like this. And as you've seen, the ink starts to flow into that cartridge. It'll slowly fill that cartridge, and then it'll start to come up through the syringe. And now the ink's starting to flow. Now I'm just holding this plunger all the way to the top, and the ink will start to flow on its own into the syringe. All right, and once you get about 3 to 4 milliliters of ink flowing through there, we'll go ahead and take it off. We'll plug it. And then we'll take the rest of this ink that we pulled out of the cartridge and we'll push it back into the tank. And now this cartridge is primed and it's full of ink. Now we'll do the rest of them. Okay, so now that you have all of the lines primed and the cartridges primed by pulling up on the ink and plugging that back up on there, now you can go ahead and press the cartridge down into the carriage. And again, just make sure that you're good to go here and there's no kinks. All right, so now that we've made sure that we don't have any kinks, we can go ahead and power the printer back on. Okay, so we'll go ahead and turn this printer back on. And what it's gonna do now is go through its power on self-test or calibration and things like that. So I'm gonna let it do its thing and make sure it doesn't have any errors. Okay, it finished doing its initialization and power on self-test. So, of course, it's going to give you this notice saying that you need to do a nozzle check. You could just hit OK here, but we will do a nozzle check anyways. just because we had to take the cartridges out, and again it creates that air bubble. So we'll just see what it does. We might have to wind up doing a head cleaning, but it shouldn't be really bad. Let's go with a nozzle check first. And I went ahead and I put the cover back on it. You can keep it off if you want. At this point, you'll never really have to open up the scanner unit again. So there's our nozzle check. Everything looks excellent. No breaks. So we'll go ahead and hit circle on this, and now we're good to go. So at this point, the install is complete. If you want to look down through here, this is what I was talking about. You want to have that black at the top, and then your rest of your colors at the. You want a black at the top and yellow at the bottom of this. These tubes here with the ink in it. So that's what it looks like on the inside. Again, I put this cover back on here, and you can keep this off if you want. And that's what it looks like down on the inside of there. But I went ahead and kept, went ahead and replaced this cover. There we go. So, got the cover back on there. We'll keep that on there. So now we can go ahead and close this scanner unit down. Got to make sure this is closed. And again, you want to make sure that these are open now. Once you do the equalization or put it inverted for a couple of minutes, 30 seconds or so, you can put it back on the bracket and open those vent holes back up. Once you do your primes, when you pull the ink out of here and it starts to flow, you can just bring it back over here, pop these open, and squirt the same ink that you just flushed through the system. You can put it back in the reservoir. We close this down, and we are good to go. So now it has the chipless firmware. It has the bulk ink system on here. So essentially, you can close this down and set this thing to print, and it'll print and print and print until the colors run dry. It'll never stop and think that it's out of ink because it always thinks that it's full. So no matter what, how much ink is in here, no matter, it could be down to no ink at all, and it'll still read full. So the printer will never stop and ask you for ink. It'll never tell you that it's not the genuine Epson ink cartridges, but that's all covered in the chipless firmware install. So again, chipless firmware, bulk ink system, and we're using the sublimation ink on here. So like I said, if we were the good, better, bestest, this would be the best option, where you have chipless firmware and you have a continuous ink system on there. And it's easy to monitor it from here too. You don't have to worry about, am I running out of ink? Do I need to fill after I get done or before I start printing? You can just look on the side. If you got ink, you can go ahead and start printing. So there it is, man. CISS Install. I'll go ahead and get some shots of it doing some prints like I always do. So hope you guys like it. Thanks for watching.